Hello. In this video, we'll be talking about object relations theory as a part of the psychodynamic concepts that we are learning. To understand the object relations theory, we need to cover basically a brief introduction about what this theory is. What is this term object that keeps coming up in between? Who are the people who have been associated with coming up of the theory and the understanding of the theory as we know it as of now? The core concepts given by them, few words or few concepts that are important with particular names of the people who are associated with the theory. How is this still relevant to the psychiatry that we know as of now? What are its few critiques and its few strengths? This is with respect to understanding of the object relations theory. Along with that, when we talk about this topic for exams, the whole topic itself can come as a short note, or a understanding of the topic can come to be written as the whole topic itself, like object relations theory itself. That is with respect to theory. And with respect to Viva, these people's name can be asked, and their particular important words that they have mentioned that I'll be discussing, those can be asked as a Viva question. Have you heard about these terms? Who has been associated with this term? Right? So this can be an interesting topic to look at, which is not often as much discussed in clinics as the other important topics that we talk about. Now, we have to also, before I go ahead with the video, there are few things that we need to put up in the beginning itself. There are few definitions that come up with respect to what is an object or object relations, what are we talking about, which will become clear once you've watched the whole video and then you come back and look at these definitions, because they are big words that have been used in a manner which becomes a little difficult to understand. Hope this video helps you to understand this whole theory. Object relation refers most broadly to enduring patterns of three things. First, the interpersonal behavior that ends up happening. Number two, the cognitive, and third, affective processes that mediate the functioning of the relationship that's happening. So there are three important terms that need to be here. The enduring pattern of the interpersonal behavior, the cognitive process that ends up happening in the functioning of that particular relationship, and the affective processes that end up happening in the functioning of that particular relationship, right? Now, when we look at this definition, object relations refers most broadly to enduring pattern of interpersonal behavior and to the cognitive and affective process mediating the functioning in a close relationship. We will also briefly mention how drive theory of Freud, which we have already discussed, ends up explaining the relations of the object as actually a secondary or a response to the drives that we have. Now, we have briefly discussed about the instinct drive, or the drive that according to Freud ended up causing all the actions or the motivation that ends up happening in an infant or anyone. So, for example, if we talk about the early stages where Freud describes mostly the most important drive to be oral. Right. So when the drive is oral, the mother who allows the infant to be breastfed becomes an object of attachment. Okay, and that person, after the person gets attached to that particular mother or the object as such, there is a compensatory attachment that ends up happening, and there is a decrease, or the drive actually comes down after the discharge. So what are we talking about? We spoke about in this, how is this related to the theory that we have? There is an instinct drive, which in here was the oral drive that we were talking about, which then led to the need for the attachment. Need for an attachment, followed by this, the mother who actually ended up breastfeeding, or there was a compensatory attachment that ended up happening. And after this compensatory attachment, there was a discharge of the drive. Once the drive was actually discharged, the person actually ends up feeling better. So here, if you look at this, The need for the attachment and the attachment itself is a secondary thing that is happening to the primary process of the drive. So this is what Freud spoke about, that the drive is the main motivation that ends up causing any sort of attachment, and the attachment or any sort of relation to that object, in this case the mother, is secondary. Right? Now, as we progressed, we realized that that's not we, the theorist who gave the thing, there was a separate whole group of people who realized that that may not be entirely true, right? So object later on got defined as an unconscious fantasy introjected or taken into the ego of the individual. Okay, the ego then identifies with some of these objects or just a part of these objects, adds it or assimilates it into the ego, and this whole process leads to its growth and causing it particular amount of characteristics. Yeah. Now again, this is a definition which if you come back to, you will be able to relate to it and understand it slightly better. However, in this definition also, important things that we need to mention is that it is an unconscious fantasy that is introjected or taken into the ego. It is identifying with some of these parts of these objects, gets added into the ego, and then contributes to its growth and characteristics. Now, when we are looking at understanding of the word object, let's see, go back to the same example. We will be looking at how that particular object, or how are we looking at that person? How do we see that person? How do we see ourselves in relation to that person or in relation to that object? And what are the emotions that are associated? This will become very clear when we talk about this particular example of feeding again. Now, before we go there, it is also important for us to understand the importance that has been laid on the early relationships, which basically form the foundation or the template of our understanding about the object relation theory as we know. Now, what do they say about that? They say that when an infant is born, he or she is relying on the caregiver for all the basic needs. Okay, for all the basic needs, he or she is relying completely on the caregiver. Now, how the caregiver ends up responding to those basic needs of that infant ends up forming templates. That get stored into the psyche of the individual and forms the basis of the further relations or a child's internal world, which then forms the basis of further relation in the future. We will go again with the same example of feeding again. Okay. Now, here we have looked upon three things: how we see the person, how we see ourselves in relation to them, and how are the emotions associated. So, similarly, self, person, and what are the emotions associated. Okay, so before feeding, the view of the self was that the child was feeling hungry. He was feeling that he is maybe a little bit needy. He is feeling a little bit demanding. Okay, how is this person in before feeding? This is for the self. This is for the person or the caregiver or the mother. So initially she is not listening to the child. So the child at that point of time feels that the mother is inattentive or disregarding the child's emotions at that point of time. What are the emotions that could be possibly associated? It could be anger, it could be frustration. Okay, so this is before feeding. This is one template that ends up happening. After feeding, the second template ends up forming, which is that I am loved and satisfied. Okay, my mother is actually a nurturing person. The emotions of happiness or joy comes over. Now, over time, these two templates, both of them end up becoming a representative, and they end up actually coming into the child's internal world as self-object units. And later on, the child ends up forming basis of future relations on the basis of these.